Welcome back, everyone, to episode 4 of Beer League Rebound. Once again, you guys seem to really enjoy last week's episode featuring Tori Chenier. She was great to have on. I had a lot of people reach out to me talking about how awesome that episode was and how we were able to shed so much light on women's hockey and everything else. So I thought that was great. She was awesome to have on. I have so many other people who have been reaching out to me who want to come on and get interviewed and talk about hockey. I'm going to be reaching out to them and conducting some interviews for my next couple of episodes. I'm just finishing up school as of the moment from home, so my podcast has to be second priority right now. School has to be first priority, so just trying to grind that out and truthfully just get that over and done with. I'm pretty sure most people who are in school right now can understand how he's gonna get it over and done with. So that's the plan for the time being, is just get school over and done with, and then I will be having more people come on with interviews, and we're gonna talk to everyone. And if anyone that you know wants to get interviewed, or you yourself wants to get interviewed and you have like any hockey history or anything to do with hockey, feel free to reach out to me. I'm really trying to grow this podcast into something big, and doing this by myself, it's difficult at times, looking for stuff to talk to. So I think the interviews are great segments, and having different people come in continuously while also me being able to be the solo podcast of the show. I think it just works good and kind of gives a different vibe. So let me know what you guys think. But so to start off the podcast, we are going to dive into some very, very sad news. As probably most of you know, the hockey world has been shook this past week with the passing of Kolbe Cave. If you guys didn't know, Colby had a cyst forming on his brain. I'm not sure for how long it was happening for, but I'm pretty sure it happened like very quickly out of nowhere, and unfortunately, he did pass away. It's he's only 25. It's very emotional, as we all know. Just he's 25. He just was starting to get. He wasn't just starting. He's been playing pro hockey for a while. But 25, you haven't really gotten experience, really anything to do with pro hockey, and for his family to lose him so young. Because as we all know, there's so much more to life than just hockey, and even after hockey, and he doesn't get to experience any of that. And that's just, honestly, it's. I was really, actually, truthfully emotional when I heard it, just because I just did that segment talking about the Humboldt Broncos, how they just celebrated their 2-year anniversary, and that was a Saskatchewan team, and now we just have a Saskatchewan boy pass away. So the Saskatchewan hockey community's been taking kind of have a bit of a hit lately, well, the last couple of years, and it's very sad. But there is Colby, you can tell he's that special type of person, because in North Battleford in Saskatchewan, there is a 15-kilometer car lineup outside in honor of Colby's parents and everything. And that just, that's small town Saskatchewan. Just as lots of women saying that Saskatchewan does things right, especially honoring hockey players, and hockey's huge in Saskatchewan, and this is how small of a province it is. It's massive, so it's really nice that we see a community around it, and everyone's there to support each other, especially through such a difficult time. Yeah, and Colby also played, like as mentioned, so he grew up in North Battleford. So he got to play for the local junior A team there. He only played 3 games, according to Elite Prospects, because he spent most of his time playing for the current Broncos and being the captain of the team in the WHL. And then once he was done with his WHL career, he's able to go on to the AHL and also played in the NHL. He played for Boston and Edmonton and both of their farm teams underneath them. So I just want to give like a little memorial towards Kolbe Cave. He'll be deeply missed, and it sucks because, like I said, it's someone so young, and it's not right. It's not fair, but not much we can do from here. But as just want to say, just mention that. Sorry, I have a hard time. It's just emotional there. Kind of on to some. So with this whole coronavirus and quarantine thing going on, there's the sports world's kind of doing some crazy stuff right now. And as a disclaimer, I'm just bringing in news that I'm reading online that you can also read online right now via the Score or whoever. There's none of what I'm going to say has been happening, or has happened, or has been confirmed. It's all rumor. But it makes for good news, and it makes for me to be able to talk about it on my podcast. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. So as all of you know, we all miss hockey. I miss hockey tremendously. And the NHL, start off, the NHL has just pushed their quarantine to April 30th now. They extended their quarantine April 30th. But Gary Bettman has come out asking players within 2 to 3 weeks, they must be in game shape and ready to go if the season resumes. Now, if you guys remember from my last episode, I disclosed that Saskatchewan was one of the potential quarantine cities, and they still are. The Score had reported that, and I believe there's 2 other cities. So I knew that North or South Dakota, I forget which the game talked about, but we know that the NHL is wanting to continue us to this season, and they even came out saying they're willing to push back next season to finish this season. So for some of you folks, that means that in November, the regular season would start, and they just wouldn't do an all-star game week or a break. They wouldn't do anything like that, and it'd just be hockey all the way up to playoffs, no breaks. Now, like anything, I see a bunch of pros and cons to everything. Because as of right now, we know that this quarantine thing is going to last for a very long time. And with everything going on, as much as I love to see hockey being played, I don't know how exactly it's going to work if they were to get a quarantine city and all that, just because it leads to, as the Rangers were mentioning, like, teams who are just outside of playoff spots, like, are there going to be games for them to play still? I don't know. Are we just going to hop in the teams who are in playoffs? Like, if if that's the case, then they're going to have to run games like crazy in one of these quarantine cities. Like, I'm talking like all day events happening from 8 in the morning till whenever, running these games, if that's the case. And that, like I said, this is from my own personal perspective and trying to see how any of this can work. So we'll see what happens. But Gary Bettman coming out saying 2 to 3 weeks, these guys have to get in game shape. And keep in mind, some of these guys live in very small apartments where they're not allowed to access the gym probably at the apartment and their complex. So this is, it's going to be interesting to see how these guys are able to do that with very, very limited resources. But when there's a will, there's a way. So I imagine they'll figure something out. And it's going to be interesting. That's all I can say. I'm excited for it. If the NHL is able to work something out, but I find if people's healths are gonna be affected by this, then I don't want to see it to continue. As much as I truly miss hockey right now, if it becomes too much of a problem and there's too much of a risk factor to it, then I would much rather see the season start in August or September. Make sure we can kind of see what happens with this whole virus situation, and then work our way from there. Now, the thing I wanted to discuss though is, if they want to start that season in November, if they push it back that far, are they still gonna want to do 82 games? Because folks, that would be brutal. Because we're talking people are gonna be hopping in from playoffs immediately, like maybe like less than a month break, I assume. I don't know, like a less than a month break, and then hop into that regular season and go play 82 games. That's gonna be difficult. And with no All-Star week or All-Star break, nothing like that, it's gonna be. I see a lot of injuries happening now. That's what's gonna happen. These guys are gonna have to take care of themselves a lot more now. There's more than what they already have before. Just because if you're gonna have these guys go, and especially if they have the playoffs going, best of some games going to game 7 and everything. It's gonna get really tricky because you're gonna have guys play late September, October, and if you start that season in November, you don't even get a chance to celebrate the Stanley Cup as well. You win it and you're giving it back. That wouldn't be much fun in my own personal opinion. You get the cup for a day and you can't even really do anything with it. So you have to be game ready to go. But I mean, the NHL is a professional league, so they're gonna do what they find best for the players and for themselves and go from there. In some crazy news though, the state of Florida, and yes, this is the most Florida thing you're gonna hear. They declared that professional sports is an essential business now. And as I talked about in my last podcast, WWE, the entertainment business, was having WrestleMania and everything else, and they also got declared that they're an essential business right now. Now that they're declared an essential business, is this another potential for NHL to try and maybe use Tampa Bay or the Florida Panthers arena instead of going all the way to Saskatchewan? I could see that, but that would be my problem is, if I'm not mistaken, Florida has a lot of problems right now with this virus, and they had the problem with the spring breakers, and they've had problems with people staying at home and practicing safe measures. So would NHL athletes want to hop into something where it's not controlled? And a lot of Florida people are going to be genuinely upset with this as well, because, like I said, they haven't been able to control their situation yet. So it's kind of crazy how that's all working out. But Florida is now, sports in Florida, professional sports, is declared an essential business now. So we'll, can only see from there. As a sports fan myself, obviously, doing this podcast, as much as I keep telling myself it's essential, it's truly not. And like I said before, if this is putting, lives at risk, then I don't see the purpose of it. But if they, like I keep stressing, they're a professional league. They got to take in all types of measures, and they're going to do what they think is best. So we'll let the pros handle it and see what happens. It's going to be interesting on how they try and sort this out. But yeah, so that's that rundown on that more coronavirus talk. I know it's getting old, but it's fun to talk about stuff like this because you got a whole state just declaring sports an essential business. You have the NHL considering going to a province of 1 million people to finish off the Stanley Cup in Saskatoon. And 2 to 3 weeks, they're supposed to be game ready shape and ready to go if the season was to resume. All this is up in the air right now, and it leads for good discussion. Leads for me making a good podcast point. So it's, like I said, it's interesting. I'm excited to see what happens and where we can go, the NHL is going to do from there. But as I said, there's a will, there's a way. So let's see what they are able to figure out from there. But one thing I want to bring up. So as we all know as well, as weird as everything's been working, the XFL has just declared bankruptcy. So the XFL also had to stop at the same time as the rest of the professional teams. So since they stopped, this is their first go around again. Well, not their first. It's like I believe their second go around at trying to become a football league. We had AFL last year, XFL this year. Anyways, that's football. But what I'm curious about is so the XFL just declared their bankruptcy and everything. My thing is, so if the XFL, if this is happening to them, what other pro leagues is this potentially going to happen to? We know a team in Russia. Don't even ask me what the name is. I've tried several times reading his name and I can't even pronounce it. But I know a team in the KHL, they unfortunately had to fold their team, not the league itself, but the team had to fold due to financial reasons because of COVID-19. So, but what my problem is what's going to happen if other pro level teams for this upcoming season if it was to resume. Because there's a lot of money being lost, and a lot of these pro teams don't even make enough money to cover their expenses, let alone even pay any players. So if you have guys playing in these leagues, and these leagues have the potential of folding or teams folding, well, that's just how many guys losing on their chance of playing, professional hockey, which would really, really suck. Because, we've gotten some of the craziest stories from guys going from the East Coast League all the way up to NHL, and you don't want to see it happen. And it's not just also like I haven't read anything on this. I'm just speculating and talking, giving a conversation starter about this, just because they are losing so much money right now. I know the Spitting Chiclet guys are doing like a player relief fund for the players because, like I said, these guys make no money. So the fact that they are able to set up a fund for those guys is tremendous. But for the league itself, I think this can be, unless the NHL teams were able to put money in to save these other teams from falling. But like I said, I'm not going to suck into the finances of these teams and breaking it down because I don't know if they would even be able to do that. So we'll see what happens. But something that I've had some people bring up to me is, what's going to happen to these lower level pro leagues. And, these guys are losing out on the chance of their dream. Like I meant, so in the East Coast League, we just had a crazy story of like Jordan Binnington last year going from the AHL East Coast League up and down, up and down. He was supposed to get sent to the East Coast League, and he fought his way all the way up to NHL, and he's a Stanley Cup winner. There's crazy stories like that. Not all the time, but it's a potential to happen, and it's really exciting when it happens. And and there's nothing worse than taking someone else's dreams away. So obviously, this is out of the leagues and teams' hands if it does come to that, just because no one planned for a pandemic to happen. But it's just it's something to think about, as you're not having any revenue come in. So what second option are you going to look at doing? So we'll see what happens from there. So another company, I believe I didn't mention them on the last episode, but CCM is also helping out now. Like I said before, Vaughn's, Bryans, Bauer, a bunch of hockey companies are stepping up right now, and they're helping out. CCM's now helping out with stopping the production of hockey equipment to make protection for all the nurses and health frontline workers right now. So that's absolutely great to hear. Actually, Bauer has a pretty funny. They created a hockey stick with a debit card, like for a debit machine to sit in, so the folks can use the Bauer hockey stick to hold a debit machine so people can pay. So there's no hand interaction with the machine. I thought that was pretty smart, actually. So all these companies are getting all in a finale, and it's great to see because, lots of these, these frontline workers are fans of these companies as well, and hockey fans. So when they see, hockey companies step up to help them out with their career, it's great to see. So big shout out to CCM. Way to go on you guys. Now, I want to get into kind of a serious topic here, and I'm just going to give my own personal opinion on this. But there's a petition going around right now in the Calgary area about beer league hockey should become essential. Now, who is dumb enough to think that? I miss hockey. Like, I haven't been on the ice in a month and a bit now. I'm going crazy. It sucks, but I know I'm going to live. Hockey, like I mentioned, was, my way of therapy and, getting away from everything. And, I've had to resort to other things, to help out cope with, not being able to go and have that freedom. But if you think that you are so entitled to go and play a game and put others' lives at risk and health risk, you're selfish. As much as I wish I could help out my mental health by going and playing hockey right now and doing stuff that I love, I know as a responsible adult, I can't do that because I don't want to put others' lives at risk. And for these guys to make a petition talking about this, I think it's like, come on, boys and girls. Why are we trying to put others at risk? I miss hockey. Everyone who listens to this probably misses hockey right now, but it's not worth to put your relatives, grandma, grandpa, whoever at risk, or anyone, because just because you can, live from the virus doesn't mean others can't. And if you pass on to someone else and they end up dying, how much of an a-hole are you going to think you are? That's all I'm going to touch on that. I think you guys should stop with this petition and really sit back and think about it. I know they're trying to compare it to the whole golf right now, and like the golf thing, I kind of get it, I kind of don't get it. I'm in between because it is the most social distance game you will ever play. But the thing is lots of those guys who play golf end up drinking the whole time. Not all, but good majority. So what's gonna happen when there's lots of people? Or not, I shouldn't say lots, but when there's people drinking, there's definitely going to be some type of social interaction, whether that's going to the bathrooms or not. And I know that I heard that clubhouses and they won't be selling beers, but if you think people aren't going to be sneaking stuff onto the course, then you're mistaken, because that's going to happen. So I'm curious on how that's going to happen, but you can't compare hockey to golf, because hockey, we are literally, you're in the showers together, you're changing together in the same small rooms, and the rooms are small because it's Calgary, and like most of old hockey arenas, I don't know what the engineers are thinking or who was designing it, but every dressing room is so small, so you're forced to touch others. So if you think of all that, it's not essential. Go buy a pair of rollerblades, go stick handle in your driveway, and we'll all get through this together. Like I said, there's nothing else I wish I could do than play hockey right now. But like we have to be responsible adults right now. So some of you reached out on your top 5 fights from this year, and I thought that was great. I love having this little segment for the podcast. It's a lot of fun. And it just kind of, makes you reflect on the year a little bit and talk about, what fun stuff happened throughout the year. So for my top 5 fights, lots of them are, or 2 of them, or 2 or 3 are have to do with Battle of Alberta. Because, folks, that was electrifying this year. The Battle of Alberta was so good. It was fun. I couldn't imagine what that last game would have been like. And could you imagine if Calgary and Edmonton are in the playoffs? Oh my good God. That first game's not even going to be able to be videotaped because of how crazy it's going to be. I'm just kidding. But could you imagine how crazy that game would be? So, obviously, for my number 1 favorite fight, remember, folks, I am a goalie, so I'm going to be biased towards this one. But you got Mike Smith and Cam Talbot in the center of the ice dropping bombs. Well, maybe not Talbot dropping bombs, but you got Mike Smith dropping bombs. What an exciting fight that was. Everyone's fighting in that Battle of Alberta, and you just add the goalies in. But what a better story than Mike Smith playing for Calgary last year, and Talbot will skip out the Philadelphia part playing for Edmonton. You just got guys reversing teams and now fighting each other. What a story. What a headline. Oh, absolutely electrifying. That was so good. I remember watching that fight and shaking because I was like, this is the best thing you're going to see this entire year. In my opinion, it's still one of the best things you'll see this entire year, at least for a fight-wise. Two guys from opposite teams beforehand going at it. It's great. The next one, next couple, lots of folks don't like this guy unless he's on your team. And I'm talking about this player from I'm not going to be biased towards the team or anything, but I personally just think he's a great player. And he's, knows how to get under people's skin. Lots of people don't like him, and that's their own opinion. But Matthew Tkachuk made kind of a statement this year with, he kind of got called out saying that he doesn't really get involved with the fights and, he turtles and he hides. And like I said, everyone's got their own opinion on that. But I think Matthew Tkachuk was a very fun player to watch this year because you had the Drew Doughty and Matthew Tkachuk situation when LA was home. And it's not so that the Tkachuk and Drew Doughty fight was funny. It was Giordano flying across the ice over top of those guys to get in the middle of that fight. I mean, Calgary was just starting stuff with every team this year. I don't know why Calgary and LA have this beef, but it's fun to watch. And then Battle of Alberta, it's fun to watch. All of it's fun to watch. So that was really good to watch. I also had to give that mention of Matthew Tkachuk and Zach Kassian. That was another, you had Tkachuk getting under Zach Kassian's skin for how long, and then you just had Kassian ragdoll him. Then you had them finally have their fight where Kassian beat him, which anyone would have saw from the beginning. But Tkachuk, finally rang the bell or did the part that everyone wanted him to do. He didn't shell away. So, it's kind of like that game recognized game right there. So I thought that was really good this year. We also had, this is another good one, but we also had the Sean Monahan and Nugent Hopkins. Nuge. We'll just go with Nuge because I clearly can't say his name properly tonight. But that fight was also another Battle of Alberta tilt. Absolutely great. Another guys who don't really get involved into fights, and that's why it was so good this year. Guys who don't get involved in this stuff were ready to go for whatever is about to happen. They're ready to go. And so, Nuge and Monahan tossing bombs at each other. That was another good fight. I think Nuge, in my opinion, got the upper hand on that one, a couple of parts, but that was another electrifying fight to watch. So that's the whole Battle of Alberta was just so good. Oh, I wish we could have finished it. That's one where I wish I could at least watch one more game before all this happened. A watch before the whole coronavirus happened. Now, these next, two. I have an honorable mention, but so the Adam McQuaid and Ryan Reeves fight, that was also another great one this year. And same with the Reeves and Scott Saborin. I might have, sorry Schmaltz if I screwed up his name. But Reeves and Scott, we'll go with that. Now, Reeves, I don't care who you are. Reeves is one of the scariest guys to watch on the ice. The way he fights and everything, he's intimidating. That guy just looks into your soul when he's ready to drop the gloves. And, he had that fight against Scott. he was so calm, and Scott was dancing around because he didn't know what was gonna happen. And can you blame the guy? You're going against Ryan Reeves, the guy can stare at a pineapple and the pineapple break in half. He's got that intimidating of a factor on him. I swear to God, it's nuts. And he did that to Scott. He stared him down, and when he started going at it, Reeves does what he does. He beat him up pretty good. And that's the same with Adam McQuaid. Reeves, he's a bully, and he knows he's a bully. And, him and his brother, so his brother, he plays for Saskatchewan Roughriders, Jordan Reeves, and his brother's a bully as well. So you see where it kind of comes from with that family, and it's entertaining to watch, that's for sure. But yeah, so those are the fight moments I had from this year. I thought that they were, some of the best that I got to personally watch and like think about. There's definitely been a lot of good scraps this year. The NHL, like I said, NHL is getting spicy this year, and if it is able to finish off, that would be great. But health first, hockey second, and whatever else in your life, right? Isn't that how it goes, folks? Health, then hockey, then probably your marriage or something else. I don't know. Anyways, so that was my take on the top 5 fights. So for the next top 5, since a lot of people are enjoying this, I'm gonna go top 5 captains from the past 20 years. So from 2000 to 2020, who are your top 5 captains? And give me a description why they're your top 5 captains. We had a lot of great leadership during that time, and guys who really stood up to the plate and showed what it was like to be a leader. Like guys like Crosby or Jerome Ginla, a guy who would fight, get assist, and score. A man who could do it all. So let me know who your top 5 captains are and why they're your top 5 favorite captains. And I'll be able to compare our answers. So I think that's going to wrap up this episode. I know it's a shorter now just because I don't have an interview. But, like I said, just trying to get through this school grind, and then it will be podcast grind. Like I said, I've had a lot of friends reach out to me wanting to come on and talk about hockey, what they got the experience of hockey. I've had some friends move out and to go play hockey, across Canada and stuff like that, some in the States. So, bringing them on and getting them to talk will be a lot of fun, and, a new perspective on what they think's going on and whatnot. So, yeah. So, like I said, reach out to me on top 5 captains from the 2020 season. Stay safe, stay healthy, wash your hands, do your social distancing. We'll get through this together, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.